Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk about solving for missing sides of similar triangles. Here are the two problems that we'll do, and to make sure we don't take ourselves too seriously, let's think about the fun question as we go. So if someone gave you a spoon and told you to put the best bite of any food on it, which bite would you choose? So for example, a lot of people like the corner of a batch of brownies. So similarity falls under geometry. It's very likely that you would see a problem on the ACT that involves similarity. So what types of problems would those look like? Well, these two are what I've seen most commonly. So you either have to solve for a missing side altogether or for a variable within an expression that represents a side. All right. When a lot of students see this type of a diagram, sometimes it's hard for them to tell that this is actually two triangles in one diagram. And so what I recommend for making sure you really get similarity straight is drawing out, and it does not have to look nice, but drawing out two triangles, one that's smaller, one that's larger, okay? And I know this is 42, I know this is 30, and I'm solving for this side on the smaller. It tells me that this is 56, 40, and 44. So right away, I can tell in my diagram that there is, see this 30 to 40? That's a 3 to 4 ratio from the smaller to the larger. So what we can do is set up this x over 44. Notice I'm doing smaller over larger. And let's do the 30 and the 40. Just easier numbers to deal with. I also could observe that that simplifies to 3/4 and set it equal to 3/4 instead. Doing a little mental math, 42 over 56 does simplify to 3/4. And so it seems consistent and that everything is going to turn out great with our final answer. So remember, if you have a proportion and you're solving for x within that proportion, you have to cross multiply. So we multiply 40 by x and 30 by 44, you get 1,320. Remember that you do have a calculator on this. And so we would just divide that by 40 and we would get 33 as this length right here. So that's the length of the whole thing. We called that length x here, but you could call it really whatever to be able to solve for. So let's move on to the next one. We have two triangles, and this one's a little bit harder because you can't really tell which segments line up with which for the proportion until I think you draw those diagrams again. So we have the smaller 65, 40, we have the larger, and this is where people start to go wrong. So we have to be really careful. It says ABC is similar to ARS, and typically they'll give you that similarity statement because you need to know that ARS is similar to A, B, C. They go in the same spots, right? So A with A, B with R, and C with S. Okay, so that means that this AB is this segment right there, 64. And then AC, 9x plus 14, goes here. So now I can set up my proportion. It's clear as day that this will go with this, right? Let's do small to big again with our ratio. So 65 over 9x plus 14 equals, and then small to big again. So 40 over 64. Now, keep in mind that a calculator will speed this up for you. Okay, that's 65. This is 65 times 64 equals, and then 40 times 9x plus 14. 40 times 9x is 360 plus, and then I'm doing mental math. I'm thinking 14 times 4, that's 56 plus a 0. Okay. Then minus 560 on both sides. And we can just drop that down. So we get 3,600 equals 360x. Divide both sides by 360, and I get x is equal to 10. Okay, so next, here are some practice problems. And when you see these, well, the first one's a little bit easier. And the next one is a little harder because we have one flipped on top of the other. So this easier one, think of the proportion like small to big, here. But then for this one, I recommend drawing out your smaller and your bigger. Okay, so we have a quote to finish us off. Contentment is the only real wealth. I love quotes like this because it reminds me that your mindset is way more important than your circumstances. If you're content with what you already have, then that might be the answer to true happiness. So now that you've had time to ponder the fun question, I'd love to see your answers in the comment section. And if you'd like to keep up with new videos, I'd really appreciate if you clicked subscribe. Have a good day.